There's the version of travel most of us picture when we're planning a trip. Sun on our faces, exploring new places, eating amazing food, and meeting new people. Backpacks full of promise, and not a single thought about hospitals or clinics, or trying to explain symptoms in a language that you don't speak. And then there's the real version, the one that shows up without warning. After more than 20 years of traveling, sometimes for more than a year at a time, and usually with kids in tow, we've learned something pretty quickly. Things go wrong in real life, and they go wrong spectacularly sometimes. And it's in those moments that travel insurance stops feeling like a checkbox that you should do before you go on a trip, and it starts feeling like the safety net that it was really supposed to be all along. But here's the thing that we learned. Not all travel insurance is built the way long-term travelers actually move through the world. Most people buy travel insurance because they think they're supposed to. It sits in the same mental category as an extra passport photo or double-checking the stove before you leave. You buy it, you hope you never need it, and you assume that if something bad happens, it'll sort itself out. And sometimes that works fine. If you're taking a short vacation, flying out, staying in one place for a week, and flying home, a lot of international travel and travel insurance policies are structured exactly for that. Fixed dates, prepaid trips, clear beginning and end. But long-term travel doesn't look like that. When you're abroad for months, moving between countries, adding destinations on a whim, staying longer because you would just like to, working remotely where you go, the structure of your travel really changes. And the structure of your travel insurance that you need changes with it. And we didn't figure that out by reading policy documents. We figured it out by living it. Like the night in Mexico when Charles was walking just a block back from a wedding and a group of stray dogs decided that he looked like a good target. One minute he was fine, and the next he was standing in a dusty street at 2 a.m. with blood running down his leg, trying to decide if he needed stitches or tetanus shots, where to go, and how serious it was. So there's nothing theoretical in that moment. You're not thinking about coverage charts. You're thinking, where's the nearest clinic? Is it open? Can I communicate in English? Is my Spanish good enough? Do we just get a taxi and hope for the best? And years before in Greece, our son cut his ear fairly badly on a playground. It wasn't dramatic in the grand scheme of life, but it was a lot of blood and it needed stitches. And suddenly we were navigating a healthcare system in a different language during a nationwide hospital shutdown, trying to figure out what was open and what wasn't. And before that, Thailand. I got hit with a kidney infection that escalated really quickly. In the span of 2 days, I went from feeling a little off to shaking with fever and needing medical treatment pretty urgently. We were on a remote island with no proper clinic and trying to figure out symptoms, emergency transport, hospitals, and all that while feeling really awful is something you don't forget. And in Quito, Ecuador, our daughter developed altitude sickness that came on really quickly and intensely. And when your kid is pale and has a terrible headache in a foreign country, you don't really feel calm and adventurous and cool. You feel small and really far from home and pretty uncertain. So those moments stick with us, not because they were objectively pretty awful, but because they reminded us how different it feels when something goes wrong abroad. So that's when you realize travel insurance isn't just about delayed luggage or a missed connection or reimbursement for a lost camera. It's about medical care in a place where you don't know the system. It's about getting help when you need it, not after you get home. After enough years of this, we stopped asking which insurance looked good on paper and started asking a really different question. Does this actually make sense for the way we travel? And that's where WorldTrips Atlas Nomad Insurance started to stand out. And I want to be clear here, this isn't about saying just one company is bad and the other is absolutely perfect. There's no one-size-fits-all answer out there in travel insurance. What works beautifully for someone taking a 2-week getaway might work a lot differently or might not make sense at all for someone living abroad half the year. But Atlas Nomad is structured a little differently than traditional travel insurance policies. So a lot of trips and standard plans in travel insurance are built around short prepaid trips. They focus heavily on cancellation protection and lost baggage, and that's really useful in some cases. Atlas Nomad is a travel medical plan. Its focus is on unexpected illness and injury while you're outside your home country. For long-term travelers, that difference really does matter. When Charles was bitten by the stray dogs, the issue wasn't whether we'd get reimbursed for a missed tour. That really didn't matter to us. It was whether he needed stitches and how quickly he could get safe care and rabies shots. And when I had that kidney infection in Thailand, it wasn't about prepaid hotel nights at all. It was about treatment, fast. So Atlas Nomad is designed for people who are outside of their home country for longer stretches and who may move between destinations. So instead of assuming you know your exact return date and every stop along the way, it's structured around the reality that travel can stretch and evolve. So many travel insurance policies assume a really tidy pattern. You leave, you stay somewhere specific, and you come home. If your travel looks more like slow wandering, adding countries as you go, staying longer when you fall in love with a place, that pattern doesn't really always apply. Another thing that caught our attention with Atlas Nomad is access to the Air Doctor telehealth app. If you've ever been sick abroad, sometimes the hardest part isn't the illness, it's the questions. Is this serious? Do I need a doctor right now? Can I wait until morning? Where do I even go? With Air Doctor, you can connect with medical professionals while you're traveling. And that kind of guidance can bridge the gap between panic and clarity. And that's something not every travel insurance plan includes. Many policies focus primarily on getting reimbursed after the fact. You get treated, you submit paperwork, you wait. And having access to medical treatment in the moment is really different. It's proactive rather than reactive. Okay, so imagine you're in Thailand, like I was, running a fever and trying to decide whether you need a hospital. A conversation with a medical professional can help you make that decision really calmly and give you some clarity. Or imagine your kids start showing symptoms of altitude sickness in Ecuador and you're not sure how serious it is. Being able to talk that through with someone who understands travel-related cases can also change how you respond. And that kind of support really feels aligned with real-world travel. So now, Atlas Nomad isn't for everyone. If you're taking really short, prepaid vacations and your biggest concern is cancellation coverage, another type of plan might make sense. But if you're staying abroad for longer stretches, moving between countries, working remotely, slow traveling, or just not locking yourself into a tight schedule, a plan designed with that kind of lifestyle in mind can feel more appropriate. Atlas Nomad is currently available to travelers between 14 days old and 69 years of age, with coverage options depending on plan selection. And like any other insurance product, there are eligibility considerations you'll want to check really carefully. The point isn't that this is the only option. The point is that once you leave home for more than a couple of weeks, you're playing a different game. We've had rabies shots in Mexico, stitches in Greece, emergency transport in Thailand, and panicked Google searches in Ecuador. Even with that, travel has been worth it for us. But those experiences really did change how we think about insurance. It's not something for us that we buy to satisfy a requirement. It's something that sits quietly in the background and gives us some peace until the day we really need it. WorldTrips Atlas Nomad Insurance feels like it was designed for real travelers like us in mind. The ones who stay longer, who move more freely, who change plans without warning, and occasionally for people who need help faster than Google Translate can keep up. Travel will always come with risk, and that's part of the adventure. And the right backup doesn't remove the risk. It can just help turn your worst days into stories you can tell years later, instead of regrets that you wish you'd handled differently. If you travel the way we do, long-term, flexible, maybe a little unpredictable, it's really worth looking at travel insurance through that lens, because things don't just go wrong in theory, they go wrong in real life. And when they do, you want coverage that really makes sense for how you actually move through the world. You can check out WorldTrips Atlas Nomad Insurance in the link in the description and see if it fits the way you travel.